Rise in mind, everybody. Welcome to AM Excellence 51. Set the standard. This is the Spaniard, and it is 6 a.m. on Saturday, October 8th, I believe. So, if you haven't noticed, I, with your help, with the help of my mentors, have decided to go with AM Excellence for this video series. And the reason is this, and actually we'll talk about it in the book today, Relentless, From Good to Great to Unstoppable. But the gist, the point of these videos, the point why I read every day and why I'm sharing that with you is to set the standard, like this video says, to set the standard. And what standard is that? Excellence. It's not about perfection. I'm not perfect. It's not about standing on the sidelines and pointing fingers at other people because they're not upholding that. But the intent is to set that standard. So AM Excellence, let's get up. Let's rise in mind. Right? We are going to rise in grind, but we're going to rise in mind because, as I'm going to talk about in this chapter, the physical performance is one thing. Getting up and facing your day and training and preparing yourself is one thing. But if you don't have the mindset, the mind to go with it, then all that physical preparation means nothing. Now, the book that I'm reading, Relentless, From Good to Great to Unstoppable, I'm going to reference a few NBA stars here as the author is a trainer of these NBA stars. But I'm also going to talk about a standard of excellence, that standard that you incorporate into your life in every single thing you do. And probably one of the coolest excerpts that I've read in a long time. It talks about Michael Jordan and how he didn't just pursue excellence on the court, but in his life, and how those two things are perfectly applicable. Again, why? AM excellence. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Now, this talks about a really neat example, and we're talking about competition. And it talks about being silent professionals. And it says the scariest guy in the room is the most quiet guy in the room. And I just conducted my first interview for A Fighter's Mindset, the Spaniard podcast, which is going to air next Thursday. Not going to tell you who it is. But this person reiterated that fact, that the way he carries himself, that he was taught when he was a kid, the scariest guy in the room is the quietest guy in the room. Now, let me say this. There are people out there, Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, who are loud. They're very loud. They're very flamboyant. That's not a very tough word, but that's what comes to mind. They're very flamboyant. They're very outgoing and rah, 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 in your face, in your face, in your face. That's not me. It's fine. It's great for them. I don't condone it. It's not how I operate. It's not how this person that I just interviewed operated. It's not how a lot of people operate. So if you are that way, I don't think you're wrong. It's not me. That's not the message that you're going to get from these videos. That's it. It's a difference of opinion, and I prefer in my life to be that silent professional, to be that quiet person. I can't tell you how many times, for real, people laugh at me when I say, I'm a professional fighter. I was in the UFC, because they don't expect it. They look at me and they laugh and they say, "Are you kidding me? No way. That's not possible." And that's what I love being. That's how I love living, and that's the type of thing that's the message that you're going to get from my videos. And it talks about this thing, fear and respect. It's talking about Kobe. It's talking about Michael Jordan. It's talking about fear and respect. Fear and respect. Let them know you are there by your actions, not your words or emotions. You don't have to be loud to be the focus of attention. And it goes on to talking about parents. Or the parents who just give the kids that look. No lecture, no speeches. One look, maybe a word or two, and there's nothing more to say. Complete control. That's fear and respect in action. Now, I'm not getting into a discussion on how to parent and fear and respect, is that the best thing? But the message, the idea that I'm conveying here is that idea of fear and respect, of being a silent professional, of putting in the work, and the people around you see that work, both your supporters and your competitors. If you're training every day, if you're reading every day, if you're doing constructive things every day, the people around you, they notice. They have to notice. And especially as a parent, especially as a coach or a role model, those around you are dissecting every single thing you do. Like I said, my daughter's 3 years old. And at least a year ago, when she was 2 years old, we drove past Sheetz and she said, "Hey, Daddy's favorite store." She could barely talk, but she was able to put in her mind Daddy's favorite store because Daddy goes there. When I walk in from outside, she says, "Daddy sweaty?" because she knows dad goes to work out and he gets sweaty and he comes home. So the people around you are watching. Setting that standard in everything you do across the board is extremely important. Not going to attain it all the time. I certainly don't. You're not going to. Setting a standard of excellence is different than perfection. None of us are perfect, never will be. And it goes on to say the loudest guy in the room is the one with the most to prove and no way to prove it. People are very surprised. A lot of times they'll ask about professional fighters, and they'll say, tell me about this guy. What's Anderson Silva like? Or what's, Frank Edgar like? Or what's Renzo Gracie like? All these guys are quiet, calm, collected, because they have nothing to prove. I have nothing to prove. It's like when you prove it in battle, you don't have to talk about it. And relating that to you, if you're not a fighter, if you're a teacher, just go to work. Go to work and work. It's about the kids. Work, make the kids' experience at school better. If you're a professional, don't go to work and just point. No, do the stinking work. That's what you're paid to do. And I talk a lot about vision. If you're part of a team, I used to think, well, this is boring. I don't like to do this. But if you're part of a team, you're part of that group, that organization's vision. Work towards that vision. Work, work, work. I believe yesterday's video was called The 2 Words You Hate Most. Hard work. Well, those are the 2 words that are the source of everything. They're the source of that gut that you earn. The right to trust your gut is created through hard work. Now, it goes on to talk about Michael Jordan. And everyone knows that Michael Jordan is one of the top, greatest players in NBA history. But it was talking about how he applies his mindset on the court across the board. Now, my podcast is called A Fighter's Mindset. And the reason being, the way I approach professional fighting, the way that I train, the way that I fight, the traits that made me successful in a ring are the same traits that I live on a daily basis. It's no secret. That recipe for success, that standard of excellence, is across the board. It doesn't change from day to day to day. I read something yesterday from a colleague of mine who was a former NFL player. He said, and again, it's 6 a.m. on Saturday morning, and he stated this in his email yesterday, but it's how I operate. I don't care if it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5-day, 10-day, and Labor Day, Christmas Day. It doesn't matter. If you're on a mission, if you have a vision for something, days don't matter, time doesn't matter. You go, you work hard. Now, don't confuse that, and I know I'm going on a tangent, but I'm energized because it's 6:08, it's a little bit later, so I got a lot of energy. I, in my life, maintain balance because I don't want to be the best in the world. If you listen to my podcast, the first sentence is, I don't want to be the best in the world if it means sacrificing the things I care about, my family. So in that pursuit, also keep in perspective that idea of maintaining balance. Now, it's talking about Michael Jordan. And this is it's probably about 5 sentences, but it's awesome. And I'm going to read it word for word. And this is talking about Michael Jordan and how he transcends what he does on the court. Not he transcends it from the court to his life. He transcends it, it's the other way around, from his life to the court. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Customato said, be careful how you fight your fights, for they will determine how you live your life. It's interconnected. There's no turn on and there's no turn off. He's talking about Michael Jordan. And while his performance on the court would certainly have been enough to earn him the kind of respect others could only dream of, the real performance started early in the day and didn't end until he was back in the privacy of his home. AM Excellence. He made sure the game tickets were organized so he knew where everyone was sitting. He knew what his sponsors needed from him and whom he was supposed to see before and after the game. He paid attention to every single detail, from the tie he chose that day to the way his watch bands matched his shoes. He didn't wear a watch, he wore a timepiece. He didn't drive a mere car, he drove an automobile. And he wouldn't get behind the wheel of any vehicle that hadn't just been washed. And even when it was raining, the car had to be perfectly clean. That's how you earn respect. Excellence in everything. Come on. Is that not one of the best things you've ever heard. That's how you earn respect. Excellence in everything. And let me reiterate this fact. I'm not perfect. Tons of faults, tons of setbacks. I don't like using the word failure, because failure to me means you quit. You quit being you. You quit living your values. So it's not about perfection. Anyone who's sitting there, and if you're one of them, I would tell you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, this sincere question. Anyone who's sitting on the outside who automatically takes the stance of pointing at the other guy, yeah, well, Michael Jordan did this, or yeah, well, Spaniard did that. It's not about that. It's about the stinking intent. And the intent of these videos is to set your standard for excellence. AM Excellence 51, set the standard. So as you go off in your day today, aside from the norm of don't blame, complain, or make excuses, set the standard of excellence, the way you carry yourself. Now, granted, I don't shave all the time, so technically, I'm faltering in some areas. You're going to falter in some areas too. Set the standard for excellence. Maintain it in every single thing you do. How you do one thing is how you do everything. How you fight your fight is how you live your life. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. You are what you repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So happy Saturday morning. It's now 6:12. I'm recording A Fighter's Mindset, the Spaniard podcast, our next episode at 6:15. Very exciting stuff. I have my first interview episode airing next Thursday. I would encourage you all to visit charlie-brenneman.com/podcast, where you can follow every episode or subscribe on iTunes. I'm anxious to hear the feedback. If you like the theme of AM Excellence, the tagline one of my friends/fans suggested, Rise in Mind. It's early in the morning. We're getting our minds right. If it's cheesy, tell me. If you love it, tell me. Either way, I'm going to take and I'm going to appreciate your feedback. So have yourselves an excellent day. Carpe diem.